Look, there's a Legrelliae cultivar of pomegranate, an ornamental pomegranate. It's never watered. I planted it there a couple of decades ago. I planted it down there because I thought, you don't have fruit, so if you're going to be ornamental, you can just go somewhere else, because I wanted fruit. But look, it's completely drought resistant. It's ornamental. It doesn't have fruit. The flowers fall off. It never sets fruit. It's very drought resistant, isn't it? Growing under a gum tree. Survives without water. Well, on very little water, just the rainwater. It's as tough as the gum tree under which it is growing. Look at that. Has very ornamental petals. Legrelliae. The flowers are double. As I said before, they look like a flamenco dancer's dress. Very pretty. There we are. Portrait of an ornamental pomegranate tree. Punica, granatum, Legrelliae. So tough. So amazingly drought resistant. It's as tough as African box thorn. It's as tough as, well, almost as tough as a gum tree, I think. It's growing under a gum tree and it's never been watered for decades. So isn't that quite amazing? It's a double flower, and it can't reproduce. It's just purely ornamental. Isn't it pretty? It's got a pale trim around the edge, and it does look like a flamenco dancer's dress, really. I can't see what I'm filming, it's so bright out here. Look, here's a bud. There's a bud just opening up. And there's one that's half open. They're just so showy, so ornamental. They're not for fruit at all. They're not the fruiting pomegranate at all. You can see by looking at the back of the pomegranate that this star affair here will never become a fruit. It just won't become a fruit. You'll be very disappointed if you buy this variety thinking you're going to get pomegranate fruit. But it is a very beautiful drought-resistant ornamental. You'll never get fruit fly with this sort. There's a lovely little bud. At first they look like an ordinary pomegranate, don't they? An ordinary pomegranate bloom. But eventually they open up and they just don't fruit. But very worthwhile. Imagine if this one had water, how lusher it would look. The flowers would look more lush and the leaves would be have a more lush appearance too. Look at that, isn't it lovely? Punica, granatum, Legrelliae. Just to give you an idea of the height. Now, I shouldn't be standing under this gum tree because they're called the widowmaker, aren't they? Because they can lose branches. There's a huge dead branch above my head. But this is how high the pomegranate tree grows. It's ornamental. Well, so far it's obviously going to grow even taller, but I think pomegranate trees usually live to about 75 years. Such beautiful candy colour, so lovely, gorgeous, orange, almost like I can taste the orange tang powder just by looking at it. These are very popular in Mediterranean gardens, well, hot Mediterranean areas. They are very showy and attractive. You certainly get plenty of colour. Let's do a little bit of handheld camera work. Look at that, isn't it fantastic? There's a flamenco dancer. Look at that, gorgeous. Go away, blowfly. Oh, look at this one. Well, when I first planted my garden 30 years ago, I wanted all fruit. It was permaculture and I didn't want ornamentals. I snubbed my nose at ornamentals, and when this one didn't fruit, I pulled it out and planted it way down here, way down to Bilio. But I mean, it's so beautiful. And when you consider what a pest fruit fly are, and these don't have fruit fly, they're a very useful ornamental to have around. And I want to reintroduce them around the house area. Oh, look at that one. Look at those ones, a little pair growing together. Little lovebirds, look at that. So fantastic. Look at those petticoats. Just petticoats, that's what they are. Yes, there are all gum tree branches down here. I don't want the gum tree to fall on my head, do I? So I really shouldn't tarry for too long, really, if I think about it, under this gum tree. Let's look upwards. Above my head, all those dead branches up there that might fall on top of me. But there's the gorgeous pomegranate tree, growing neglected and without water, without being made a fuss of. It's still beautiful. So beautiful. Knows how to put on a show. There's some dried petals on the ground, look. Little elf's cap, a little elfin's cap. May Gibbs would like that. Little elfin cap. And bright petals. So, just amazingly underestimated as an ornamental. It must be as tough as an oleander, or tougher. Delicate pastel orange, cream, soft apricot colour. Very beautiful. I want them all around the house now. I've changed my mind. It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, isn't it? Imagine if that pomegranate had water regularly, how lush it would look. These are little dwarf pomegranates. They still have edible seeds and some juice inside them, but they're very tiny. They're called Punica granatum nena. Nena meaning small, as I understand. Very small little pomegranates, very ornamental, very cute. They're growing in a large tub. They do make a nice specimen for a tub. You can see by looking at the nena that the star becomes part of the fruit. The star becomes the bottom of the fruit, see? So they're completely different to Legrelliae. This is a normal fruiting pomegranate, well, a dwarf version. There's that star part called the calyx, I'm not sure. I'm not a botanist. Botany tends to bore me. Probably because of nasty science teachers, that's probably why. There's the round part that will become the pomegranate, and this will be the bottom of the pomegranate. No fancy petticoats here, they've fallen off. Oh, this one, it's still green, but it'll be turning red soon enough. What do you think? It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. These have in the past been made into perpetuals by the dried flower people, dried flower arrangers. If you dry them out, they can be painted gold or silver and used as perpetuals, everlasting. They do make a good little bauble. They would make a good little Christmas tree if one celebrated Christmas. Yes, that's actually a nice little bauble, isn't it? It is. That's a nice bauble, a Christmas bauble. And unlike the old glass ones, that when I was a child they were made of glass and you could cut your fingers if you dropped them. Now, isn't this lovely? This is the ordinary type of pomegranate that you eat, that you get in the fruit shop. This one has beautiful big red pomegranates. You can get purple pomegranates and ones with purple skin and ones with yellow skin nowadays. But this is just the usual ordinary pomegranate. It's in bloom and it will have fruit in the months to come. What a lovely colour it is. It's not a double flower like the Legrelliae, is it? It's not. This is just a normal eating one. You see them growing in Mexico, in Spanish haciendas and that apparently. I think they were introduced to Mexico by the Spanish and Southern California. Aren't they beautiful? So colourful. Gorgeous. Just look at that with some sunlight through the petals. Isn't it gorgeous? It's on fire. So there's a lovely big pomegranate bush. The eating type, as I said. Beautiful, beautiful ruby, what are they called? Aerials. The things in the middle are called aerials. The little jewel beads are called aerials, and they contain the seed. Look at the petals, aren't they gorgeous? Very ornamental from an edible landscaping point of view and an ornamental landscaping point of view. Very ornamental shrub. Here's another little pomegranate bush. Look at that gorgeous flower. Oh, look at that. If I was given to ecstasies, I would have one, I think. It's like a poppy almost. It's like an Iceland poppy. Look at that light through the petals. Isn't it gorgeous? Fantastic. As I was going to say, looks like the main pomegranate has suckered a little bit, because that's a separate little pomegranate that's come up from a sucker or something. And there's the main one over there. So this is at the height of my head, and this is looking way up in the air. So pomegranates do get to some height. Again, this is one for eating, and it does make a nice ornamental specimen. It does get to a reasonable height. They're not huge trees, though. You really would call them a shrub, I think, really. They should be called a shrub. Gorgeous. Look at that while I'm down here. Look at that. A grass of some sort is just opening up, and it looks like a whisk that a cook uses. A chef would use that for a whisk. Some sort of grass, umbrella grass or something, but it looks like a whisk. Amazing. Amazing. So yes, think about growing pomegranates, whether you like the ornamental kind or the fruiting kind, or this, yes, or the little dwarf kind. If you're in a block of flats, you could grow the dwarf kind.